Councillor Mittra? You have 5 minutes, Councillor Mittra. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm mindful of the time, so I shall try my best not to be too trivial. As a member of the Task and Finish group, I did just want to speak to a couple of the things that I wanted to draw from reading the first draft of the report and make a case to the task and to the full committee. Number one, I think we've heard this a couple of times already. I think there is a very clear desire from a lot of people for the Task and Finish group to go back and reconsider some of the points that we came up with. I would very much welcome that. I did argue at the time in the Task and Finish group that I felt we should speak to UNISON. I declare an interest as a member of the union, speak to UNISON and CAT as well and get a fuller set of feedback. And I believe I did argue at the time that we should visit all of the sites that your Choice Barnet operates services from. So I do very strongly feel that if your committee decided to reconstitute our Task and Finish group, we would be allowed to go back to those areas and finish off some of our work. I will briefly talk about the business plan, which is obviously still very controversial. I think as a member of the committee, Task and Finish, I would very much appreciate the chance to go back and go into greater depth on the business plan. We spent quite a lot of time on the group, as Councillor Brian Salinger will tell you, but I would think we could get much more out of drilling down into some of the concerns that were raised earlier in terms of particularly the £1 million loan and whether another one would be needed. I think the Task and Finish group could spend more time looking into that. Looking at some of the recommendations, I do feel there are some areas where we could have gone further as a Task and Finish group, such as I do believe that a timetable moving towards a high percentage of permanent staff and a reduction in the use of agency and as and when who are 0-hour contract workers. I think that's possible, and I would like to see that happen myself. I would also dispute or disagree slightly with the view put forward by Tracy Lees about having a representative of the service users on the board. This does work in business, and perhaps we have consumer advocates on boards. I've seen that in the past, and I think that can be done in a way that would work. And yes, I appreciate the points about members of the board being trustees, but they're also representatives, as indeed a councillor is on another committee. And the final point I make is I think I would urge your Choice Barnet to look much stronger at how they engage with their service users and having a more formal mechanism to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Has anybody got Councillor McGuire?
I think you've picked on the fact that I think the way forward is to reopen the Task and Finish group. I think what you said has clarified it. I think it's pretty unanimous across the room and some of the comments here tonight. Mine was around sort of the staffing. I know the recommendation in recommendation 1 is around staffing levels at the risk. It was mentioned by UNISON that 30 staff have already left because they saw the writing on the wall. One question was that, do you get the feel that there's an awful lot of pressure putting on and very, how they work under these circumstances is absolutely amazing, such difficult circumstances. Did you feel that there was a morale issue, and would you like to see recommendation 1 beefed up to reflect the comments of users, and particularly the comments of UNISON tonight?
Well, when we did visit the 3 sites that we went to, we all spent quite a lot of time speaking to both the service users and the staff and talking about morale. I think we all generally came to the conclusion that there was certainly a problem when Your Choice Barnet was first set up. I'm speaking personally, but the feedback that I had was that a lot of people felt things were getting better, certainly at the time we spoke to people, but there was possibly a seasonality question there as when we went, it was late August, early September. So I think that is something that we could look into though again, because it wasn't, again, Councillor Salinger may correct me there, but I think that wasn't something that particularly came up in most of the report that we were
Thank you,
writing.
Councillor Mittra. Councillor Vanderley?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Councillor Mittra, have you got reservations on the conclusions of the task and finish group that you sat on?
I think that, the recommendations are what they are, but I think they should always be kept under review. I was very clear throughout the task and finish group that we had a very narrow set of parameters to look at. We looked at them. That doesn't mean that you as a committee can't widen them and ask us to re-examine them. So I think.
I mean, the reason why I'm asking this question is if I heard Councillor Salinger correctly a little while ago, the findings and conclusions were a unanimous decision. So I'm just wondering why now, when you were actually part of that unanimous decision-making process, you're bringing up these reservations. I mean, you could have actually, brought them up then or not voted for it or whatever.
Well, we did at the time, and I don't believe that it was entirely unanimous, all of the recommendations that we came up with. And I believe that actually the point that Councillor Salinger made about unanimity was about speaking with County UNISON. Actually, both Councillor Rawlings and I argued very strongly in the committee that we should take direct evidence from them. But as I say, the recommendations are what they are. The recommendations are a compromise between what the members of the committee felt. And we felt it was very important to send a report to this committee that you could use and then you could interrogate. So they are what they are. But I'm stating here what our reservations are.
Thank you, Councillor Mittra. Councillor Gordon?
I'm a bit surprised to hear you say that, because I do recall on a previous occasion, I can't remember which one it was, with the task and finish group, where there were dissenting opinions, and those opinions were expressed and put into the report. We have some very skilled officers here, quite capable of weaving in the reservations that people have, and there don't seem from this report to be any reservations at all that anybody had. So I also would add to the question which my colleague has just asked, why is it this late stage you seem to be sort of fumbling around to find ways of now undermining what the task and finish group has come up with? But apart from answering that question, I just want to ask another question. There seems to be a huge trade union input into what is going on, into the objections. And whereas we live in a free society and people are entitled to express their views, and there's no doubt that some of the views have been expressed in a very sincere and genuine and personal way, which I also would endorse, has moved members of the committee. I'm very sceptical about the trade union input, because we know that unions do have their own agenda, which is a political agenda, and unions are known to have a left-wing agenda. And I would suspect that whereas there's some very genuine criticisms that have been made, a lot of those criticisms are a little bit politically motivated, and I would view them in that rather suspicious way. Your behaviour now and your conduct endorses what I just said.
I think that many of my colleagues in the trade union and movement in the Labour Party would at love the idea of me being a left-wing activist. On the officer, well, I did write them when I got the first draft saying there were a couple of issues that I picked up. Trade unions are representative of the workers who work for your Choice Barnet, they work for the council. Of course they have a right, and I'm very proud to be a trade union.
They don't exist in fascist states.
Okay, I think we've had enough of this actually.
Right,
I'm going to move on. Thank you very much, Councillor Mittra, for coming tonight.
All the women get the vote right.
I don't want
The opposite.
Thank you.
Even their daughters.
Right, we're going to take all your comments on board, and I'm going to ask Brian Salinger to report for us. And the committee is to consider the findings and recommendations of your Choice Barnet Task and Finish Group as set out in the report attached as Appendix 1.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I start, as I'm sure that Councillor Braun would